anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere. Well, Memphis on Saturday morning, right now, seems fine to me. Or Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. They'll all be a bad night for the King, because when Pretty Boy Larry Sharp introduces him to the Soultaker, don't yell for him. He ain't coming out. Stop that. He ain't coming out because he is scared. Scared of what's going to happen to him. Too tall to get over. Too wide to get around. A wrestler by any other name just would not be the same, if you understand what I'm telling you.
The following show is a Pod Avenue production. You are cordially invited to have dinner with the King. Pull up a chair and join WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler and Glenn Moore. Enjoy.
Episode number 81 of Dinner with the King. Sitting here in the King's Castle in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm Glenn Moore, joined here by WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler, coming dressed to impress.
Man, I am really. How you like this outfit I got on right now?
Now, can I tell what's going on right now? Can I?
No, you can't. Why? What do you
Come
mean?
on. Can I describe what you're wearing right now?
Well, it's an unzipped hoodie. What's wrong with that? It got warm in here.
You got your sweater on underneath.
No, I don't. What?
And you got a brown.
I got a hairy chest. What's wrong with that? Gosh. Well, welcome to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. This is a great way to start it off here.
Oh, so we have a.
Let's talk about the way you look. What are you looking at?
Sweats and a shirt. What? Covered in the hair of Louis.
Yeah, that's the only hair you have on you now. Look at it.
I shaved it all.
A lot of people don't realize Glenn has shaved his head.
I usually do have this sometimes.
Oh, really?
Well, usually in the winter, I grow up my beard and my hair. And if you saw me I know Eddie Austin was in Omer in Jackson. He saw me. A couple other listeners of the show saw me. I had, longer hair and my beard was longer. And it was just getting way too long to manage. And I hate having a comb. I hate having a comb it. I like to wake up.
No, you're lazy. Lazy. That's laziness. That's what my
And
mom
I have a
would say.
receding hairline.
That's just laziness.
I have a receding hairline, so it
You
was.
do?
Yes. It's terrible.
Is that a bunch of rabbits walking backwards?
Jeez.
That's a receding hairline, isn't it?
Yeah. So I just buzz it down as low as I can go.
You now comb your hair with a wash rag.
Basically.
Remember when I said that and Vince said, "Did he just say wash rag?"
And I trim my beard, so it's nice and
Washcloth. I
trimmed.
meant washcloth.
Yeah.
Down in Memphis, we say wash rag. But anyway, so yeah, you've trimmed off your beard down it's kind of close, but your hair is completely
I
gone.
feel so much cooler. It's so nice. But I'll grow it back.
Yeah, and you know what? You look okay with that. I mean, you don't look.
I've been told I can pull it off.
I believe if I just shaved my head, I would look like an
Oh my
idiot.
God, you look so weird.
Yeah.
Can we do it one day?
No.
Come on.
No.
It'd be fun.
I just, I had a match with Tommy Rich at Jackson last week.
And Matt Riviera actually brought out the shears.
Yeah, they were going to try to cut my hair again.
Oh my
idiots.
God.
So now I'm going to that evolved into I'm going to have a match with Matt Riviera
in the Thunderdome. 30-foot high cage in Jackson, Tennessee.
Catch USA Championship Wrestling live on Saturday, February 16th at the Omen Arena in Jackson, Tennessee with a 7 p.m. bell time. The main event, Jerry the King Lawler and the Loverboy Matt Riviera settled the score inside of the 30-foot Thunderdome cage. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. Plus other matches. Tickets start at $10 and are available by calling 731-234-5883. Don't miss it.
Well, it's a beautiful cage. No kidding. I went and did an interview.
Is it going to be beautiful when you're in there?
Did you see the cage?
I did not.
It is an awesome. Mike Samples built this cage, and I think Mike has built some maybe for WWE or whatever. But it's a very impressive looking cage. Really top of the line cage.
Bert told me Bert told me the outline of the cage and how it is set up.
Yeah, well, you know what he said? I think they said 30-foot cage. It's not 30 feet high,
right?
But it is. It's 30 feet in would you say diameter or whatever
Yeah,
it is?
diameter, yeah.
Yes, 30 feet. Yeah, it's a big cage.
Yeah.
Really.
So it's kind of like an elimination chamber, but with no chambers, basically. You have the outside of the ring. You got.
Yeah.
We don't want to give too much away because you want to go to this.
Yeah,
But
it's bigger than the ring. A lot bigger than the
you
ring.
and Matt Riviera are going to be going 1-on-1 in the Thunderdome.
Yeah, Thunderdome.
That's going to be fun.
It should be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's be a chance to get this Matt Riviera guy,
The lover boy.
become a thorn in my side to get rid of him once and for all. I don't think
I like him.
You'd like him.
Yeah, he's funny. He's a good guy. Him and I talked after the show.
Okay. Oh yeah. You know what? Why don't we do that? Why don't we have Matt Riviera on as one of our guests on the podcast and just let me lambast him and insult him? Let's see how he responds to a verbal assault from the king.
Did he come to the house one time to the match you had with him?
That idiot, he did. All of a sudden, somebody rings my doorbell, and I go out, and it's him and this little stooge that he has driving him around from all the way over in Arkansas. He lives.
Oh my God.
He lives way over in Arkansas, almost on the Oklahoma line.
Unbelievable.
And they drove all the way over here with. This guy's got a camera in his hand, a little camera, right? And there's I think he thought I wouldn't go to be at home, and
You're always home.
I'm always home. So he came up, so I confronted him there, but he'd be good to have on the podcast, especially before this big cage match.
Yeah.
I got some good lines for him.
Well, we talk. I don't think we haven't talked about the Omen Arena shows because you faced off against Tommy Rich.
Yeah.
And because of Matt Riviera, you lost the match.
Well, no, wait a minute now. See, you didn't go to TV the next day.
I didn't.
Burton,
No,
they
I didn't.
do TV. It was almost like my WrestleMania match. The decision was reversed.
Oh, okay.
Well, and as well it should be. I mean, it's an easy match to explain. Tommy Rich and I in this long running feud over the hair match and all this sort of stuff. So anyway, Tommy Rich and he had a guy at ringside with him and so our match, we kind of fought outside the ring at one point of the match and fought towards the back and then somehow Tommy went behind this curtain. He comes out and he's got this big this big rake. Right? I guess the grounds crew or something had it around the arena there in the back. He comes out, he's got this big metal rake, and I'm like, whoa. And he draws back, and he's going to hit me over the head. Well, the referee grabbed him from behind, right, to stop him from hitting me with a rake. Well, that's the point where I came out with my knife. I told everybody I was going to burn him up, light him up like a Roman Catholic. So I come out with my big fireball, and Tommy Rich moves out of the way, and I hit the referee. So anyway, the referee just kind of falls out of the way, so it goes back behind the curtain. Then anyway, Tommy Rich and I fight back up into the ring, get in the ring. I come off the second rope, bang, nail him, down he goes, cover one, and well, I had him covered for what would have been probably a 5 or 10 count right there. And all of a sudden, here comes the referee, rolls in the ring, striped shirt, and he goes 1, 2, and he doesn't say 3, right? And I'm thinking, what's the deal? All of a sudden, he stands up. Boom, I feel this huge elbow drop right on the top of my head. And he rolls me off and rolls Tommy Gilbert on top of me. He goes, 1, 2, 3.
Tommy Rich.
Tommy Rich. And the referee counts 1, 2, 3. And I clear my head. I look up, and it's Matt Riviera with the referee shirt on. He comes out, takes the other referee's place. That can't fly.
No.
So anyway, then they come out with some scissors and is going to cut my hair.
I was worried I was about to run to the ring and save you.
I bet you were about. Well, why didn't you? Well, was somebody?
Mr.
Johnny Dotson came out.
Yeah,
to try
he
to
came
why
out,
didn't
yeah.
you help? Why didn't you come with Johnny Dotson?
I was sitting down.
Well,
and I
yeah.
didn't want to get up.
Yeah, the sun was in my eyes. I had to check my teeth for plaque.
It was
I had a lot of stuff to
raining.
do.
But next time I'll come out and save you
Okay, I appreciate it.
if I'm watching.
But anyway, that's what's boiled down to. It was a fun night at Omen Arena. Big crowd.
Big crowd. I mean, so after the match, my favorite part was after the match when you and Matt Riviera were going at it verbally, and this old lady comes up to Matt Riviera, and she just wanted to rip his eyes out of his head, and had to be held back. I think a couple of security people had to hold her back.
That moment reminded me of some of the old school days down at the Mid-South Coliseum and at Channel 5 studio. I mean, when the fans used to get so invested in the match and they'd get so mad at the bad guys that they wanted to get involved themselves. And that nice little old lady, she, if they didn't hold her back, she would have attacked Matt Riviera. I believe it.
I'll say one thing about I travel with you to some shows here in Tennessee.
Last night we went to Bradford, Tennessee.
And I'll tell you what, there's these crowds, even though there's there's 400, 500, I think Omen Arena had like 1,500 people.
Yeah.
They're hot.
Yep.
And
you put out a tweet about that, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's cool.
These crowds have nothing on the crowds of the indie promotions around the country. I've never been to a crowd like a Tennessee wrestling crowd. And even last night in Bradford, Tennessee, you and Doug Gilbert, there was that one lady in the crowd, a different older lady that was, she got up from her seat third row, and was ringside, like she was like your manager, making sure Gilbert wasn't cheating or didn't have his chain on him. She was, and Bert had to come out.
Yeah, Bert had to actually lambasted her. Bert got on her worse than Tommy Gilbert or than Doug Gilbert. It was crazy.
But I love it. It's an old school feel. And I can only imagine it magnified to like the Mid-South Coliseum, especially when like Andy Kaufman, was coming in and ripping on them and soap and let's take a bath, take a shower, and you go to the Mid-South Coliseum and there's thousands of people just like that woman.
Yeah,
they're at the ring. I wish I could go back and be a part of that, but I'm getting a small taste of it when I go to these shows with you here in Tennessee.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think that's probably the reason I still do it, because it is so much fun to kind of relive those days. Somebody put a tweet out. What was it about? How many years that I've been since I've wrestled now already in 2019?
Yeah, somebody mentioned that Ricky Morton has wrestled for 42 years, consecutive years, and the rest. I want to give credit to the person that said it. He said this was late last night. At Memphis Wrestling 1, who we met at the Louisville Comic Con with his son. He says, and the King has wrestled in 49 consecutive years. 49. You have wrestled in a match.
Yep.
Just at least one match in 49 consecutive years, King.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
That is unbelievable.
And next year is going to be 50.
Well, we got an entire year to go before that happens.
49 years, man.
Yeah, it's a long career, huh?
I mean, I don't want to make you. I hate. I know you hate being make it feel like you're old, but I mean, 49 years of having a match and still being relevant and still being popular and people still wanting to book you. I mean, geez, King, you are the true king of wrestling. I mean, I'm not just saying that because I'm your friend.
Well, thank you. But you know what's cool? Nothing you say. I mean, it may make me sound old, but nothing makes me feel old. I don't. Yeah. That's one thing I can tell. That I usually tell people, that are younger, that are feel bad about getting older. The cool thing is, the older your mind, I think, at least in my case, your mind doesn't age. Your mind, you still think. I swear, I still feel and think like I did when I was 20. I really do. So. I know I probably can't, but I still think that I can still do the stuff that I did when I was 20 years old, so.
We still throw drop kicks.
Yeah, well.
You still come off the middle rope. I mean, you still do things that you've done 49 years ago. So, I mean, it's like you haven't changed. And you look at other wrestlers who are the same age or even a little bit younger, and no offense to them, but they're in worse shape than you. And you look at you, I mean, you could still go.
Well, I'm lucky. I guess I'm just lucky.
You got good jeans, Levi's.
I never wear jeans.
I know you don't. It's weird seeing you in a suit, let alone jeans.
Suit? Where have you ever seen me in a suit?
WrestleMania season.
Well,
tux.
Yeah. Not a suit.
And no ties.
No ties. I don't own a tie.
Ties. Well, Bradford, Tennessee, last night, you and I and Jeff went up there, and you wrestled against Dangerous Doug Gilbert for the USA Heavyweight Championship.
And they made it was a title match.
And that, if you would have, okay, so... Spoiler alert, Jerry, he won the match, but it was by DQ, so the title did not change. So if you would have won that, you have not won the USA Heavyweight Championships. No. That would have been a new title to your resume.
That would have been 169 titles.
Oh, my God.
I need to win that and one more. I need to round it off at 170.
You do?
Somewhere along there.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. That's more than any other wrestler in the history of wrestling has won, more titles.
It's true.
But anyway, who's counting, right?
King has a counter here in the kitchen. And it's
169.
169.
Oh, gosh.
Oh man, but no, that was a great show last night.
It was fun.
And you and Doug can still go.
I remember I'm driving up there. Here I am, King of Wrestling, driving my nice little Ford. It's pouring down, raining.
Oh my God, it was terrible.
You're sitting over next to me. My future father-in-law, Jeff, is in the back seat, and we're just talking about all sorts of crazy stuff. And then somewhere I said, who would believe that I'm driving down? All of a sudden, we had to turn off the interstate on a little 2-lane road. We had like 18 miles on a little 2-lane road, and we couldn't see anything. The rain was pouring down, and it was like blind. Everybody's lights were like blinding us, and you kept looking over at me saying, "Can you see anything? Can you see?" I said, "No, I can't see the same thing as you. Nothing."
Going through Milan.
Oh gosh, Milan, Tennessee.
Milan, Tennessee, the fashion capital of the world.
Wow.
But no, that was a crazy drive. And then on the way back, we had to do. It was raining too, and we had to deal with the same thing on the way back.
And that really, that's the same. It's like a throwback for me. It throws me back to like when 1971. It was the same way that we were making towns like that. I'm
gonna give a shout out to one guy that came to the match last night.
Who?
It was Brian, and he lives in Shanghai.
Really?
He lives in Shanghai. I was with Jeff at the concession stand getting a bottle of water. Mm-hmm. This guy comes up to me. He was a guy with the trench coat on, and he had the hat. I had a hat, and he had a big trench coat on. He had an Elvis Presley shirt on.
Yes.
Okay, so he was sitting ringside,
and he had come. He talked to me, signing some picture for him, and he told me he'd come to the restaurant and eating barbecue, and what a great time he'd had on this trip.
So he lives in Shanghai, but he was basically traveling the country or the area, and it just so happened he was in the area when you're wrestling in the gym. So he comes out and he listens to the podcast. He came up to me. He's like, "Are you Glenn?" Because usually say if there's a big guy with Jerry, it's usually me. So he says, "I listen to the podcast. I'm a big fan of the show." And he explained to me why he was in the area. He's from Shanghai, but I want to give a shout out to Brian. Big fan of the show, listening in Shanghai, but he was here in Tennessee.
And you know who else? Even before the match, I knew we were going to have this title match, but he came into my dressing room before the match for one reason, just to talk about the fact that he had been listening to the podcast the day before or something. Doug Gilbert comes into my dressing room. Now we're getting ready to wrestle each other in about 30 minutes, right? And he comes in, and I'm thinking, what do you want, right? And he said, "I just want to tell you, man, that Doug's got the real Southern accent, right?" He said, "Man, I was laughing so hard. I'm driving down the interstate, and people are looking at me in my car, in my truck, and I'm laughing because I'm in there by myself." And I said, "What were you laughing at?" And he said, "I was listening to the old podcast, your old podcast with you and Terry Funk." And he said, when Terry Funk started asking, "What are you compassionate about?" or something like that. I don't even remember. Did we get into something about being compassionate about something?
Yeah. He asked you, Jerry, what are you compassionate about? Do you have any compassion for anybody? And you're like, "Oh yeah, my fiance and my family."
Well, anyway, Doug was saying that he listened to the Terry Funk broadcast, and then he said he called Terry Funk afterwards.
Yeah.
And poor Terry says, "Nobody ever calls me."
Aw.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I get butt dial from Terry sometimes.
Really? Well, we need to call him back, and he's one guy that I don't mind having on the podcast anytime he wants to be on.
That's great.
Especially if he's just sitting there at home, not getting called by anybody ever.
Yeah.
I wish somebody would call me.
Oh, jeez.
I guarantee, though, if I call him, he said, "Lawler, you pervert. You
pervert. Yeah. Why are you calling me bothering me?"
Yep.
Well, another classic visitor came to your locker room before the show.
Another king. King Carl Fergie.
Yes.
King Carl. Yeah, he had some good old stories, too, about David Haskins and all those, a bunch of the old school guys. Yeah, King Carl. He lives up in, I think he lives in Jackson.
Yeah. Does he own a Gold's Gym or something like that, or operates one?
You know what? I don't. He used to, or something. Now he's doing insurance. He works for. I think he's got his own insurance agency now.
Well, he's in the East Tennessee Hall of Fame.
Yeah, man. So, King Carl.
Yeah.
He'll never admit it, but that was always my crown and my robe that I loaned him to become King Carl.
King Carl.
I did that a lot. I used to, if ever all of a sudden we needed like an instant opponent for me, I could just grab one of my extra crowns and put it on somebody, and suddenly they were a pretender to the throne. They'd show up in Memphis on, hey, I'm the king, and I'm, what the heck, I'm the king, and we said that
boom, instant feud.
Yeah, King Carl, we did that with. We did it with Sylvester Ritter.
Okay,
you know who that was? Really? You don't know the name Sylvester Ritter?
No.
He used to play for the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Called us up one day, said he wanted to come to Memphis to wrestle. Well, we said we didn't have any kind of gimmick for Sylvester Ritter, so told Jerry, I said, look, we'll put a crown on him and put one of my robes on him.
Now I know who he is.
We'll call him King Sylvester Ritter, and he can come in, and he and I will have an instant issue. So who was it?
The Junkyard Dog.
Junkyard Dog. That's exactly right. He started there as King Sylvester Ritter before he became the Junkyard. Then he went down for Jim Ross and what was his name? Who's the promoter down in Mid-South?
Watts?
Yeah, Bill Watts. Yeah. I wanted to say Bob somebody, but Bill Watts, and they turned him into Junkyard Dog. He made $1 bazillion down there. But
bazillion.
For us, he was King Sylvester Ritter, King Carl.
Was he also Pretty Boy Fergie?
I think he might have been at one time. Yeah,
there it is. So yeah, a lot of royalty and a lot of visitors in the King's locker room before his big match with Doug Gilbert.
I'm gonna have to start charging for a meet and greet.
Meet and greet? While you eat your nachos.
Hey.
The last night's match went well. Then coming up, well, before we get into what's going to happen tomorrow here, well, actually today, as the podcast is released Monday morning, we have another fan as a guest co-host, and he's bringing on a guest for the show.
Yeah, I don't know how this is going to work now. I'm worried about this today.
Surprise guest.
I don't like surprises. You know that.
I have given out some hints on social media. I haven't revealed who it is because I know who it is. Jerry doesn't know who it is, but I have thrown some hints out.
Lauren just made my book more difficult, but she got me this, which is very nice.
Very nice,
very pretty. It's like a leather binder for my booking book, which I'm old school. I don't do anything digital. I got an old school.
You can't open it.
No, I can't. Now, once I put the book in this binder, I can't open it up and see what dates I have coming up.
Oh.
But anyway, so the book. When are we going to have the guest on? Just a few minutes.
Just a few minutes before we wrap up our opening segment here. But he's going to come on and he's going to introduce the guest he's bringing on, which you don't know. I know. We never have on the podcast. He's a WWE Hall of Famer.
Wow. Yeah. Really?
And you've wrestled him. You know him very well.
Cool.
So looking forward to that. Monday Night Raw will be here tonight in Memphis, Tennessee. So make sure you watch that. King?
What do you want me to say? I don't know. I don't really know exactly what's going to happen. I mean, sometimes
you never know what's going to happen.
You never know. I think I told people the last time the show was here, I got a call at like 4:30 in the afternoon. Says, King, can you come up and we've got something for you to do? And it turned out that I went out and interviewed AJ Styles or something like that. What?
So you called me on the way down to the arena, like, hey, I'm gonna be on SmackDown tonight.
Oh yeah, you idiot!
You're gonna be on SmackDown tonight. I'm like, yeah, I know, dude. I just saw the graphic. You're facing off against AJ Styles for the title because he was a champion at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I just saw the graphic on Twitter. WWE.com just posted it.
And I'm like,
and
what?
You're like, oh my god!
I thought I was just gonna interview him.
He's like,
and this idiot, this Glenn. So see, he goes on his phone and he makes up this. What do you call it? A GIF?
Graphic. It was a picture.
Yeah.
It was like a promotion. And I go, well, WWE.com just posted a picture. Like, send it to me right now. Send it to me right now.
Yeah.
So I hurry up again.
It looked just like it looked very official from WWE. It's like tonight, main event, AJ Styles versus King Jerry Lawler. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't bring my tights. I don't remember gear. What in the world? Idiot.
So I wanted to I wanted to not tell you right away, but I figured your first instinct was to call probably Kevin Dunn and ask him, like, what's going on? So I don't want to make you seem like an idiot, call him Dunn and be like, no, Jerry, you're not wrestling him. You're just interviewing him. But I told you, but that was funny. That was
okay. Well, anyway, now tonight, I have no clue what's going to happen. I don't even know if I'm actually going to be on the show. They did call me the other day and said a couple things. They said, hey, we may want to film something at your restaurant.
Yeah, they always usually do. They do an exterior shot on Beale Street, and they usually show your restaurant.
So that. But then they said, I'll let you know. And then anyway, they haven't let me know since since.
No, you cannot have like the King not on Raw when they're in Memphis, Tennessee. I mean, that's just...
Yes, you can. The creative staff, they don't know. Those guys don't even think about what city they're in. I swear they're under the gun, under pressure to produce these shows. They don't. It's not anything about thinking about what city they're in that we got to think. Oh, this is Jerry Lawler's hometown.
They should. I mean,
they should, but they don't.
They should. Oh, make sure to have the King. He's the King. Have him come on the show.
Like he's got more. You don't think he's got more important things to think about?
Dude, he texts you at 3 a.m. happy birthday, so he's thinking about you. I don't think he has a reminder that pops up at 3 a.m.
Yes, he does. No, absolutely he does.
No, he did on his own. He knows your birthday by heart.
Oh, my gosh.
Come on, give yourself more credit, King.
Please.
So we don't know if you're going to be. Make sure to watch tonight on Raw.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah, either way.
Either way, watch Raw.
Should we tell about this at all?
Oh, my God. Sure.
Well, I mean, speaking of Raw,
yeah,
we talk about. What's funny thing? A lot of people don't realize that since I'm not on either SmackDown or Raw every single week doing the commentary now, a lot of people think I'm not with WWE anymore. I mean, I run into people all the time.
Are you still with WWE?
Yeah. What you doing now?
You still wrestling?
You still got a job? So I get that a lot in Memphis. But
what are you doing, King?
Oh my gosh! Did you speak of that, the accents and stuff? Have you seen that tweet? Somebody went back and found I guess a little clip of JR and I still remember this to this day. We were doing Raw down in Birmingham, Alabama, and somehow they told me, I don't know what they told me before the show. They gave me a microphone and took a camera, and they said, hey, go out. The people were waiting in line to get in to buy tickets and stuff. They said, go out and interview some of the fans, Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah.
Somebody put it up on there. And this is, of course, I was a big bad guy, right? And I don't even know if we should tell this or just retweet the thing.
Oh, come on. It's on a network. Come on.
Okay, well, anyway, yeah. So anyway, I go out, and there's this guy and his son, right? And they're standing there, and it couldn't. There was no rehearsal or anything. I literally just walked up to these two guys, right? And I asked the guy his name, and of course, as soon as he spoke, I looked at his teeth, and I said, "Oh wow, orthodontist dream." And I said, "This is your son, right?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "What's your name?" I don't know what he said. And I said, "How you doing?" He said, "Pretty good." I said, "Pretty good." Okay. And so then I asked the guy, I said, "Now, this is your son, right?" He said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, I want to ask you a question. If you and your wife get divorced, are you still brother and sister?" And the guy's like,
He thought about it.
yeah, he just started thinking about it. I said, "I know these are tough questions, but anyway." And also I said, how many tires or how many cars are parked in your front yard? He said, 2. I said, okay. But anyway, it was just a classic clip that somebody found off the network and put up on Twitter.
Oh my God! If you did that today,
oh yeah, forget it.
Forget it. Oh my God! So we'll hope to see you on Raw tonight, King.
Oh yeah, but no way. I started to tell about the content.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, a lot of people don't. Since I'm not on there every single week, they think I don't work at WWE. But I've always, since 1993, I've been under contract to WWE. Mm-hmm. Same type contract, and now it's a personal service contract that everybody signs. Same type thing, and it just says, you belong to the WWE. We may, when it comes under services, it may be commentating, maybe doing voiceovers for video games, maybe hosting personal appearances, maybe, all this sort of stuff is in the contract, personal service. So my contract is up every year on January the 10th.
It's the 13th.
Well, I know, but on the 8th, I still haven't heard a word from them. Right?
Oh my! You get nervous?
Sure, you get a little nervous, of course. And so I spoke with. I sent a little text to Kevin Dunn saying, well, yeah, I don't know if you know, and I know you're busy and everything, but my contract is up day after tomorrow.
What you gonna do?
And I said, I just want to know where we stood, And so it immediately sent me back. He said, man, I'm so sorry, just with these doggone holidays, everything's, falling through the cracks. So anyway, I did the very next day, I got a new contract in the mail. Not only 1 year, but 2 years.
A 2-year contract.
2-year contract.
Look at you.
With a raise.
Oh, my God.
Woo-hoo. So I'm back in for the next 2 years.
I'm kind of sad about that.
Why is that?
Well, we talked about the new wrestling promotion, AEW, and, who knows what would have happened. Maybe you could have been back on commentary full time, But they would have wanted you if you were a hot free agent.
A hot free agent.
So they made sure to sign you up for 2 years. So maybe they were like, well, that's good for 2 years. Lock them down.
Well, you know what? I love WWE, and they have stood by my side to a lot of stuff,
Really?
And so I wouldn't even. I mean, not to say that I would never entertain them. If I was released or whatever from my contract, you'd have to try to make a living somehow.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But no, I mean, it's like I was tickled to death to get re-signed.
Yeah. Well, I know a couple of years ago when we started. Well, like last year when your contract kind of came up, and I think Impact I think Jarrett just reached out to you and said, "Hey, what's your status?" Did anybody from AEW ask you, like, what's your status?
No,
nobody.
No.
So you're all good.
But the cool thing, I mean, one of the things about that too is even JR and I talked about it a little bit. I think they know, and I don't believe they could contact somebody that's under contract to somebody.
Right.
You could get sued,
Oh,
if
definitely.
you try to pull somebody
you
away.
get big trouble for that.
Yeah,
tampering.
So anyway, they did not. Nobody contacted me, and I was more than happy to stay where I am.
2-year contract. You ever done that before, or has that always been 1 year?
Yeah, it's always usually a year at a time, but this was 2.
So why is it 2? You think?
I don't know.
They love you.
Keep you off the street.
Keep you off the street money. That's what JR said. Oh boy, so that's good. That's nice to hear that you'll be back.
Yes, it is.
For 2 years.
And then I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. The Royal Rumble is coming up, and they just sent me
you're
text
number
message.
30.
No, I'm not number 30, but I am going to be calling the Royal Rumble, the men's Royal Rumble.
Oh,
match.
nice.
Yeah,
you did it last year, right?
Yep.
So that's
it's always exciting.
Yeah, definitely
Fun.
Looking forward to hearing you on back in commentary.
Yep.
Are you going to be which Jerry Lawler are we going to get? Doesn't matter. I mean, are we going?
Well, you know what? Listen. Here's the way. This is what it sounds like it's going to be. Me, Michael Cole, and JBL.
What about Renee?
Well, apparently she's going to be doing the women's. Royal
That's
Rumble.
okay. Yeah,
so it's going to be all guys doing the men's Royal Rumble.
There you go.
Yeah, and so it's going to be all guys. So it'll be fun.
It'll be good. Be good to hear you back in commentary.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, I know who our surprise guest is. So let's get on our fan co-host for this week.
Wait. I got a couple more things I want to plug. Come on. I got to plug the fact that we got I got to plug this every single week.
Every week.
I got to plug the fact that we are going to be having a huge, it's going to be so much fun. I am really looking forward to it, especially after watching the playoff games today. It's down to 4 teams that are going to be in the Super Bowl. And we're going to be having a huge Super Bowl celebration party or whatever at Fitzgerald's Casino, February 3rd. Come on down, be a part of it. I'm going to be hosting it, and we're going to have a great time. So I invite everybody. Don't make any other plans other than to be at Fitzgerald's.
I'll be there.
You be there?
I'll be there, King.
All right. Well, that's all we need.
Look at you. You're like, oh, God. Get more food.
Yes, get more food.
No, I've been good last couple of weeks.
What do you mean?
Not eating crap. And I've proven that, haven't I?
Well, I don't know, but you got a ways to go.
I have not. There's a whole pizza sitting in front of us, and I have not.
You ate some of that today?
The toppings,
earlier?
the pepperoni, meat.
Okay.
Who had McDonald's last night on the way home?
Yeah, but
who had nachos?
Who's the one that says, I got to lose weight? I got to lose weight. What about you? Oh, don't look at me. How embarrassing was it yesterday? You're standing on the corner, and a cop came by and said, break it up. That was bad. Look, you stay up here. I looked upstairs. Now the bathtub you've been using has stretch marks.
Come on.
What?
It's a stand-up shower. Very nice one, too.
Anyway.
Okay, so what else you got to promote? You got the Super Bowl party.
Super Bowl party, February 3rd.
Tunica.
Yep. What else? Ba-ba-da-ba.
Open the book.
No, I can't do it.
Are you going to have a show? I think it's coming up this weekend, coming up here somewhere in Tennessee for a show.
Hang on. I got to open
Bert?
the book again. Oh, yeah. There is something coming up for Bert. It's the pages turning. It's the reminder. You're listening to Rush Limbaugh?
Yeah.
Whenever he gets a... Wait a minute. I got a note here. It goes through ruffling of the pages.
I think it's Friday.
18th. No, I don't have a show Friday.
Oh, okay.
I don't see anything.
Nothing?
Oh, you know what? I just got in here. Lauren returns from... no, she gets back on the Wednesday. Lauren is going to New York tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Or actually, she left this morning. As this is
people are listening to the podcast.
You're listening. She was going to the Wendy Williams show. She's going to be on the. Could be
Whoop,
part of the audience. And then all of a sudden, she was so excited, so overjoyed. She bought these. She's taking her mother and her aunt, and they're all going to see Wendy Williams. Right? They had to mail off for tickets months ago, and then wouldn't you know it, she gets the word that Wendy Williams, fell and broke her shoulder.
Oh.
And she's not going to be hosting the show.
So who's co-hosting?
Who's
hosting?
It's a guest of Hot Talkers, they said.
Oh, my
God.
God.
A guest list of, she's going to have guest co-hosts. So they're really upset. I'm really upset, too, because I paid for all of these airplane tickets, and then Wendy Williams not even going to be there.
It could be something better.
Yeah, it could be, I guess.
Well, you co-host. Why don't you host that?
Yeah, that'd be better. How you doing, Jerry? How mad would Lauren be if she gets up there and all of a sudden I walk out as the host that day? What?
She'd be pissed.
Yes, she would. But that ain't gonna happen.
How you doing?
No, I'm not. Then next week, that's what's coming up. We're going to Florida.
Before Royal Rumble.
Yep. And then Royal Rumble
is with the 27th in Phoenix.
Yeah.
That's going to be nice because that's going to be in the ballpark.
It's going to be huge.
That's going to be nice.
Yes, it is.
So
that's like, is that, I didn't realize, man. It's like
it's like WrestleMania.
WrestleMania type thing,
Yeah, it's going to be huge, yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully people watch the King doing commentary for the Royal Rumble. All right, King, this is our guest host for the week, our fan guest host.
Yes.
And he's bringing on a special guest. So we've had some fan hosting podcasts in the past, but this is the one that's going to bring his own guest.
So eventually we're going to, in just a few minutes, we're going to wind up with 4 speakers on this podcast, right?
4 speakers. We're going to have you and I are sitting here in your house, and then we have our guest in his house, and then we have his guest in another location in the country. So we're going to have.
Well, we should probably apologize right now before what this is going to evolve into. But no, let's make the best of it. Mike, are you there?
I am here, Jerry.
You scared me. Okay. So Mike is our guest host, right?
He's our guest host.
How did that come about, Mike?
Through Patreon. Being a patron, yeah.
Well, that's something that Glenn is in charge of. I don't know too much about that. I'm sure that this is something that Glenn has put together, something that he's probably making money off of some sort of way, and he's not telling me about it. But we're glad to have you here, Mike. Where are you at? Where are you from?
I live currently in Toledo, Ohio, but I was born and raised, and until I went to law school, lived in Evansville. So when I was growing up, I was watching USWA and Memphis wrestling.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Oh, so are you a lawyer?
I am an intellectual property lawyer, so patents and trademarks and copyrights.
Oh my gosh!
I have an engineering degree. You have to have an engineering degree before going to be a patent attorney. So, engineer first, and then law school.
Well, I'm impressed. We have a highbrow guest here, guest host today.
And Jerry dressed for the occasion too.
Oh, look, we're not on TV. This is a podcast, man.
I want to know, Mike, your favorite Jerry Lawler moment before we bring on your surprise run-in guest.
My favorite Jerry Lawler moment. Wow,
it's got to be something from back. Got to be something from back in Evansville, I would think. Maybe no.
There were so many turns that you made, Jerry. That I remember growing up hating your guts for a lot of the time because you were a heel, but then other times, you'd come back face, and I loved every minute of it.
Sounds like my parents. You sound like my parents. But anyway.
I remember growing up in all the Kaufman stuff, of course. I mean, who could forget that? David Letterman being from Indiana, always being a Letterman fan, and his involvement with that. I mean, that was really ingrained in my mind.
Yeah, that was people ask me all the time, what's your favorite match? And it's probably not what they expect to hear. But, yeah, I have to always say that the Andy Kaufman match was my favorite because it was the most influential match in my career. And I think had a big influence on the direction of professional wrestling at that time,
Yeah. And my other big Jerry Lawler memory is going and shopping at the furniture store, Lawler's Furniture Store in Evansville.
Oh, my goodness. Lawler's Furniture Store. Dangerous Doug Hurt, the owner and proprietor of Lawler's Furniture Store. Yeah, we did a lot of business out of Evansville with the furniture. And then somehow my friend Doug Hurt got conned in. A couple of con guys came through town and talked him into they met with him and they said, man, the greatest money maker in the furniture business today is to do a going out of business sale. And he said, well, I don't want to go out of business. We're doing fine. He said, I know, but you don't really go out of business. We just market this big sale. We do all this advertising and we keep refurbishing, we keep restocking the furniture as it sells along and everything. And so they finally talked him into doing it. I knew nothing about it, and I thought the furniture store was doing well, and one day he picked me up. We wrestled in Louisville on the night before, and I get to Evansville. Doug had picked me up, and we'd get there early in the day. We'd usually go to the mall, and I'd go in stores and kind of shop around, just kill time before the matches that night. So we go into this jewelry store in the mall there in Evansville. And I'm actually looking at a Rolex watch. This was like $7,000 or $8,000 watch, and I'm looking at this watch, right? And all of a sudden, they have the radio blaring throughout this jewelry store, and this commercial comes on, and it says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Lawler's Furniture has hit the wall. We're going out of business. Creditors are at the door. We can't pay our bills. All furniture is discounted to rock bottom prices." And I look over at Doug, and it's like, oh my gosh, what creditors are at the door? What's the deal here? It was so embarrassing. I'm standing there looking at this watch, and then he told me about how the year-long going out of business store went. I think the guys didn't tell him that there was actually a law. You may know this being a lawyer, but you can only run a going out of business sale for 1 year, and then you really have to go out of business.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but you can go out of business and come right back and just with a different name. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think after a year, Lawler's Furniture went out of business and it came back as Bill Dundee's Furniture.
No.
I think so, something like, or maybe Jimmy Valiant, I'm not sure. But yeah, Lawler's Furniture was something up there in Evansville, man.
Jeez. All right, Mike. Well, you said you wanted to get right into the run-in, so this is, you're the fan guest host of the podcast.
You're calling this a run-in?
A run-in. He's bringing in his mystery partner. Run-in. His mystery partner.
Surprise run-in. All right, I'm looking forward to this.
I remember back in the day, there was kind of a monster of the week formula sometimes, and one of my favorites was our guest, and I guess Charles Wright. He was the Soultaker, of course, in USWA, but fans may know him as Papa Shango or the Godfather. Charles, you there?
Yes, I am, man.
Oh, my gosh.
4 people on here at one time.
I don't know if this is going to work or not, Charles.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. So we got Gary, Mike, and don't go messing with the King.
The King? Who's Gary? Oh, that's Glenn, not Gary.
Come on.
Oh, he just got his feelings hurt right off the bat, but don't worry about it. We can call him anything we want to. But Charles, where are you, man? Where are you calling from?
I am calling from my home in Las Vegas after a day of watching some incredible football.
Yeah. Well, there was one incredible game. All the rest of the football they've been blowouts, all these games, haven't they? Pretty much one-sided.
It depends which way you bet, huh?
Yeah, you're right.
I do live in Las Vegas, so I am known to place down a bet every now and then.
Every now and then. Now, do you then, if you place a bet, do you go to like a sports book place out at one of the casinos, or how do you do it?
Yeah, there's a casino called Aliante, which is maybe 5 minutes from my house. So I go over there. I don't bet a lot. I usually bet playoffs and stuff like that. But I made some good ones today. So It's
Awesome.
a really good day in the neighborhood.
Well, that's good. Listen, you're going to have to come down here, down to Memphis pretty soon. I'm just working a deal with Fitzgerald's Casino, and they just started having a sports book at their casino, and we're going to have a big, huge Super Bowl party. So I want to invite you to that, Charles. If you want to come down here, and I'm going to probably need some help on picking the winners of the Super Bowl too.
Well, I'm sure you're much more knowledgeable than me, but I would love to come to Memphis, man. I had such a good time when I was there in Memphis, and you still have your restaurant, I think, out there. I'd love to go by and have some food there.
Yeah, I actually have two now. I have, of course, Jerry Lawler's Hall of Fame Bar and Grill down on Beale Street, right next door to BB King's. I'm sure you would love that. We have all sorts of wrestling paraphernalia and memorabilia and all of that sort of stuff throughout that club. And then I also have a more of a fast food type restaurant out in Germantown. Out east,
Wow.
And it's just a barbecue restaurant. But yeah, they're both
Man,
great.
well,
You would like them.
Man, I'll take you up on that because that would be a highlight of my career is going to your restaurant. Because I know you know what some good barbecue is out there in Memphis.
We do know good barbecue here in Memphis. Now, listen, what year was it that I'm the worst on remembering dates or remembering anything really. I go into a room and go, what did I come in here for? But anyway, I what year was it when you first, Charles, came to Memphis? And
you know what? I would say 90, 91, maybe 90, somewhere right there.
Oh, look,
89, 90.
Yeah, there you go. Glenn over here, he is good for one thing. He does have a memory, and he does have Wikipedia and all this sort of stuff right in front of him. He says it was 1989.
Wow. Glenn, see there? There you go, man. You made your money today.
He's useful.
It was around that time. That was around that time. I remember how it happened and everything, man. People don't realize that I was in the Monster Factory at the time, and I'd been there a very short time. And then you'd come through, and the next thing I know, I'm wrestling you in Memphis, Tennessee on a Monday night, man. And just that's one of the highlights of my career, man. And I don't know if I think I've talked to you about this before.
Yeah.
Now
the Monster Factory. A lot of people in Memphis may not realize the Monster Factory was in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, well, it was in Newark.
In Newark, New Jersey. You're right. Yeah, and
Paulsboro, New Jersey.
Exactly.
New Jersey,
it was a wrestling school run by what was his name?
Larry Sharp.
Larry Sharp. Yeah.
Larry Sharp. Yeah.
And I guess what had happened, we had hooked up with Larry. He would train these guys. He would get these big guys, find them, and train them, and sign them to a contract. And then somehow he sent one of the guys down to us, which was Bam Bam Bigelow. And man, he did tremendous business for him. Matter of fact, Larry Sharp came down and managed him and everything. So we had a good relationship with Larry Sharp. And so tell the story. You just approached Larry Sharp and wanted to go to school and get trained to wrestle, right?
I was working at a bar in Las Vegas, man, at the Topless Club, and they were filming the movie Over the Top here with Sylvester Stallone. It was an arm wrestling movie. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, make a long story short, out of that, I really didn't follow wrestling that much. I was more in the roller derby. I'm from the Bay Area, man. And believe it or not, roller derby was bigger than wrestling back then.
Oh, sure. Was it the Bay Area Bombers?
Yeah,
yes.
Man. Roller derby was. People used to say, I knew some wrestlers used to say, the only reason they don't they wrestle is because they can't skate, you know. But
right.
People have no idea how big roller derby was back then. But anyway, I didn't watch much wrestling. They had talked about Bam Bam Bigelow. At that time, I was just a monster. They told me that what Bam Bam had made one year, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing at a Topless Club? I met Larry Sharp. I was in school a very short time. At that point, somehow I ended up meeting up with you, and I went to Memphis, and you were my very first match ever.
Wow.
I never even had, you were my I think I had some type of 1-on-5 or something somewhere, but you were my first official match. And I wasn't nervous, man. I just remember you telling me to listen to you, and I just listened to you and did whatever thing you said.
Well, I think you also told me that Larry Sharp, when Larry Sharp said, I'm going to send you down to Memphis, and you said, well, wait a minute, I haven't even really trained yet. And he said, well, you're going to be working with Jerry Lawler, so you don't have to worry about a thing. Just listen to him, right?
No, that's very true, and that's why I said they told me just listen to them, and that's how I started listening to you.
Wow, that's amazing. And did you already come with the name Soultaker, or did we? Where'd that come from?
What? There was a tattoo on my arm that was the Soultaker. He was Taker of Souls, and I put, and that just kind of stuck with that name, the Soultaker. That's where that came from. It's on my right forearm, and it's an actual character called the Soultaker.
Wow.
I just thought it was a cool name, Taker of Souls.
Yeah. And of course you later on became very good friends with Mark the Undertaker, and you guys hung out a lot, and that was just like a sort of actually, let's don't get ahead of ourselves, but when you came to Memphis, you were the Soultaker, and how long were you here before you got noticed by the WWE?
I had went to Germany, and I was working as Rocky Las Vegas. And Jerry, check this out. Listen, who was there? It was, you remember Big Otto, right? I know you.
Yes, absolutely.
Big Otto Vons. Well, I'd worked Germany a couple of times. I had met Mark there in Memphis, and then I just was kind of following him. He went to Germany. He went to Japan. I went to Japan. He came back. I went to Germany. He went to WCW. But when I was at Germany, listen to the talent that was there. Scott Hall, Owen Hart, Chris Benoit, Paul New, who was Cannonball Grizz, I think he was PM News, Fit Finley, Dave Taylor, Salvatore Balomo. That was the crew there when I went there for a 9-month tour. And is that a crazy crew there or what?
No kidding. Yeah, you're right. That's probably the best way to describe it. That would be a crazy crew. What a bunch of fun guys to hang out with, huh?
Oh, Jerry, we were there between Austria and Germany. We were there 8-9 months at one time without going home.
Oh my
good
gosh.
pay too. Really good crowd. They had a lot of wrestling history there in Germany. Really good crowds.
And so when you came back from Germany, is that when you started in WWE or where?
When I came back from Germany, Mark was in WWF at the time.
Yeah.
And he's like, we got to get you a tryout. So they came to Arizona, and Vince gave me a tryout. After the tryout, he basically told me I was hired to go home and they were going to work on some type of gimmick. And I remember Vince saying this. He said that I had the body of a monster but a baby face. He says, he says, your face doesn't match your body. He says, I have to do something with your face. And then it was maybe a couple months later, and they had called me, and they told me, go rent the movie Live and Let Die. And there's a voodoo character in there that we're going to kind of take off of. And I'm sure you guys remember the Uncola guy. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. I know he's deceased. But I took that laugh from the Uncola guy and ran with it, man. But, yeah, that's how that happened.
And that was Papa Shango, right?
That was Papa Shango.
Man.
And believe it or not, I came up with the name Papa Shango, but it's correctly pronounced Papa Shango.
Oh.
But I just thought, and forgive me, Jerry, you know me, I love country music. I just thought it was a little country saying Papa Shango instead of Papa Shango.
Well, when you said
what's that?
I'm sorry. I was going to just say, when you said Papa Shango, I thought, wow, that's the way we did pronounce it down here in Memphis. Most people said Papa Shango.
Actually, you're pronouncing it right.
I'll be darned. Well, that was great.
Yeah, I just thought Shango sounded more mysterious. Shango.
Yep. Well, I can imagine, though, and Vince would have thought that, too. Vince hated a Southern accent. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure if me or JR had said Papa Shango, he'd say, hey, come on, King, Shango.
I never thought of that, but I know you're right.
Yeah. Now you with that gimmick, I mean, there was all kind of stuff, the fire, the voodoo stuff. I mean, there was all kind of cool stuff.
Man, they had the magic department, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the guy's name that was there forever that was in charge of magic. Do you remember his name?
No, I do not.
Anyway, he was there forever, and he was so creative, and they were doing that's when they had just started doing green screens and using smoke and pyro, and they just started doing that, man. And it was very cool to be a part of that. We were trying all type of wild stuff back then, man. It was pretty cool.
Well, my one good story about the Magic guy. I do remember who you're talking about. I just don't remember his name, but I do remember that they brought in this deal with this magic contraption that they use in magic shows to make someone levitate, where they're laying on a slab, and then all of a sudden somebody does this incantations and they rise up in the air. And it was this long mechanical piece of machinery that they brought out there behind the curtains, and the Undertaker at that time was going to levitate Midian. Remember Midian?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was Undertaker.
I remember exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So anyway, they told Michael Cole and I that morning in the production meeting, the Undertaker's going to come out and he's going to lay Midian down on the slab, and then he's going to do these incantations, and then all of a sudden Midian's body's going to rise, with this magical contraption. So anyway, we get out there that night, and the show is live, of course, on the air, and all of a sudden the Undertaker comes out and Midian's lying there, and the Undertaker's waving his arms over him and everything, and all of a sudden Michael Cole goes, "Oh my God, King, look at that! He's rising in the air. Midian is rising in the air." Now they were up on the stage, right? And I don't, my vision is not that great, but I'm straining my eyes, and I didn't see him rising up, right? And all of a sudden, he's still just laying there, and all of a sudden, Vince comes on in our headsets and goes, "Michael, you stupid son of a, he's not rising. We scratched that idea. The machine didn't work. Shut up, you idiot." And I went, "Oh my gosh." So anyway, after that, I got to go to Vince and say, "Vince, I would rather not know what's going to happen on the show. So maybe if I could get out of going to these production meetings in the morning of the show, my commentary would be much more realistic if I'm surprised and see everything just as it's happening." Right? "You're right, King. You don't need to go to these meetings anymore." So the Magic guy got me out of all those production meetings for years and years after that.
You are the worker of workers, my friend.
Well, things just kind of worked out in my favor. But then how did it go that you went from being Papa Shango to, without a doubt, one of my all-time favorite characters in all of the history of the WWE? It probably did more for my career, becoming the Godfather. How did that happen?
You know what? First of all, you had some of the best commentary when it pertained those girls and the things that you would say. Oh. And I'm sitting here laughing now. Remember, you helped that character more than anything. I was in the Nation of Domination at that point.
Right.
I think it was just me, D-Lo, Rock, and maybe Mark Henry, but they weren't doing shit with me. I don't even know if I should cuss
Was Ron Simmons in there yet? Was Ron not in there yet?
No, Ron's already been. Ahmed Johnson, they're already out.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about how Godfather started.
Right.
They're already, that whole scene, and Rocky's kind of getting ready to go on his own anyway, and they weren't doing nothing with me and D-Lo, and I'm not even sure Mark Henry was there. They definitely weren't doing nothing with me. And then I was wrestling Bradshaw every night as Kaba Mustafa, and we were on Popcorn, Jerry, and we would go 10, 12 minutes of just beating the shit out of each other. I'm sorry I cuss sometimes.
That's okay.
Beating the hell out of each other. And we were getting no reaction. The people were just sitting on their hands. Oh. We were getting no reaction. It was Popcorn. It was the perfect spot for that match.
Was that back in the day that people would start yelling boring?
They hadn't started yelling boring, but they probably would have if they did, or worse than that. I don't even think they cared. They might not have cared enough to even yell boring. Anyway, at that point, I'd gone maybe 6-7 months where I wasn't really working much. We were just part of the Nation, and so I was letting my hair grow. And most people don't know this about me, but I'm much more biker cowboyish than I am pimpish. And I used to wear that black hat's called the Godfather hat. I wore those hats anyway. That's the hats that I wore.
Those became known as pimp hats, right?
Yeah, but they're actually called Godfather hats.
Oh,
and that's the style. It's called Godfather. So inside of every hat that I have, it says Godfather. And I didn't put it there. It's because they're Godfather hats. It's a Godfather style. And And the long story short, people, and I'm wearing silver, not gold. I used to wear like biker silver and skulls and stuff like that. And I was letting my hair go just to get a different look. And then people start, I'm at the ring, and people are like, Godfather, you look like a pimp. I'd be like, hey, I hate pimps. Jerry, you know I've worked in topless clubs all my life, working them right now. And I've been beating up pimps all my life. Not anymore because times changed. But back in the day, man, as soon as I go to work, if there was any pimps in the house, I'd beat them up and throw them out. And that's the true gospel right there.
Right.
And so I didn't want to be a pimp. Anyway, my wife kept telling me, honey, you should go with this. So long story short, or I'll be running my mouth forever. Long story short, I said, hey, Bradshaw, let's try something. Jack Lanza was the agent. And I said, Jack, there's people don't care about this match. Can I try something? I said, I'm going to go out there, and I'm just going to tell the people, hey, I'm just going to let it out. I'm a pimp. I said, but what you don't, and the people, I got a little reaction about that, right? And then I said, but what you don't know is I was in Louisville, Kentucky when it started. I said, some of the best hoes ever born were born right here in Louisville, and the people would pop. And then I would kind of say, I'd point to some girl and say, there's one of my old hoes. And she, of course, the people would pop. I'd say, there's one of my old hoes. And then I would find somebody fat or older. I'd say, hey, there's one of my, she's a little fat and old now, but hey, pimpin' ain't easy, right? And so I'm just talking shit. I'm just talking like that, but I'm getting reactions. So anyway, we bring Bradshaw out, and I'm like, you know what? I didn't even have any girls, and now I'm in 5-6 minutes, and I'm actually getting reactions. And so Bradshaw would come out, and I would say, hey, I'd talk him in. I'd say, right now, in the back, in a limo, man, I got some of the finest hoes. And then I'd keep it a little personal with the guy and say something a little personal that people wouldn't know about. And Johnny would accept the girls, right? And then he'd start walking down, and people were actually chanting, take the hose, take the hose. And I'm like, hey, man, listen to the people. They're telling you what you do. I said, I'm going to kick your ass anyway. You know I'm going over anyway, so why even do that? That's what I would say.
Wow.
And so Johnny would take the girls. He would start leaving, and I'd turn on the people, start and see that just another dumb redneck that falls for the game, and then people would start booing me. John would stop in the, in the hall, in the aisle. He'd turn around. They'd buzz me. I'd turn around with all my, now I had the hat on and some gold and all that. Johnny would hit me with that lariat. 1, 2, 3. I'd have my glasses on, my hat. I'd stand up and look at the people and say, man, pimping ain't easy. And people would pop.
Yeah, that's awesome,
people
man.
would pop on that. And we went back, and Lanza's like, I think you might be onto something there.
Wow.
And then we did it in the house shows for like another week. And then at TV, Vince said, Charles, you think you can put some girls to it? And I'm like, come on, Vince, you know me. So me and a few other guys went and got some girls, and we put them on TV. And from that time that we actually put girls on TV and did that little show, man, it took off. I mean, it took off.
It took off so big. It was amazing. All the way to the whole train. And man, there was at one time, I mean, sometimes you would have 8 or 10 girls following you out to the ring, wouldn't you?
You know what, Jerry, how that worked would be it took so long for me to get to go out, get the girls in the ring, do my little spiel, get the girls out of the ring, that we'd have as many girls as we had time for. If I had 10 minutes, I could have so many girls. If I had 12 minutes, but if I only had 6 girls, I'd only come out with, or 6 minutes, I'd only come out with 2 girls because it took so long to get them in there, get them out, have some sort of a match, and then get the girls back in there and dance.
Right. Yeah, but that
so if I had a lot of time, I'd have a lot of girls.
And like you said, that gave me, of course, it was no way, with everything being so politically correct today, no way on earth could we ever use the kind of lines that we used back in the day. But man, it was so great. I remember when you were coming out one time, and JR's just like, just shaking his head at these scantily clad girls following you out. And I said, come on, JR, those are some of the finest women you'll ever come across. And and he would just say, you're horrible. And I'd say, JR, you know the difference between a secretary and a hoe? And he said, what's that? I said, a secretary would say, good morning, sir. And a hoe would say, it's morning, sir. And it was just we had a million lines like that. It was great.
Like I said at the beginning, Jerry, you put that there. Everybody tried to put it over, but you had some of the best lines concerning the hoe trade, man. They should just put out a book or a video of your sayings with the hoe trade. But could you imagine it today? A black guy calling white girls and all girls hoes and talking about smoking rolling fatties for pimp daddies. Could you imagine that happening today? And another thing, just off the subject, I think if you had the Nation and Domination at one time when The Rock and Farouk and we were all doing our thing, man, people hated us.
Yeah.
And it was that Black Power thing, man, and people hated us. And I think if you did that today, they'd be fucking babyface. Oh, excuse me, they'd be babyface.
Well, let me just say, you know what? It would be just a shame. It would be just as entertaining today as it was back then, and just as many people would be entertained. But I'm sure even back then there was that small segment of society that were offended and that didn't like it. But back in that day, before social media, they didn't have a voice. They didn't have a way to tell the whole world that this one or two people didn't like that. But now with social media, you know, everybody's got that voice, and the one or two people that get offended, they can make it sound like there's millions of people that are offended by these things. And so you can't do that kind of stuff anymore. It's a shame.
That's what happened to the Godfather, you know. Social media and media in itself caught up to what he was saying and doing, and things were changed. It's too bad because DX did a skit on us where they came out in blackface one time.
Oh my God!
People everywhere I go, people are like, "Weren't you offended?" And didn't that? I'm like, dude, that was some of the funniest stuff on TV that I've ever. Are you joking me?
I know, and
so
now
we're entertaining people, and so. I can't believe people would be so offended by that because it was funny.
Somebody just recently.
Guys are racist, and nobody's racist. It was funny, and
right.
it's a shame that you can't do things like that on TV anymore because it'd be more enjoyable. And it's just everybody needs to lighten the hell up, man.
Exactly. Some woman or somebody just lost their job because they said something that they thought. Somebody doing blackface was entertaining, and she got fired. You know, it's just you're right. Just everybody needs to lighten up.
I mean, I don't even want to get into politics, but it's just crazy, man. It's just,
Glenn wants to say something over here.
I miss the good old days.
Absolutely right. What, Glenn? What do you want to say?
Well, this kind of played out on WWE television because then the Godfather turned into the Good Father.
Oh, that's right.
For Right to Censor, which was like they were cleaning up WWF's act.
Do you remember that?
Man, this is the shoot too. That was some of the saddest part of my wrestling career ever. I tried to do the best I could, but people, Jerry, you know me. People have no idea. I am so close to the Godfather was nothing more than me being me.
Yep.
And I was having so much fun, and it was so over. And Vince had told me a couple times, Charles, I'm fighting for you, brother, but I'm taking a lot of heat for what you're doing. And he told me that. And then when he called me into his office and told me I'm putting you and Stevie Ray and Bull, and I'm like, it was the hardest thing for me to do was to put that. It was just, I don't know, man. I know it's a work. But I took that so personal, man, that it was. You wouldn't know this, but I'd actually turned into a much meaner person at that point. I turned into that old bear biker guy because I was so unhappy. And it's very seldom, unless you catch me in an herbal way at these signings that I do. I usually won't even sign the Good Father picture because it's just a dark place for me. It's weird, man, but. I know it's a work, but man, I was so hard to go from the God to doing just being yourself and having fun every day and entertaining people and just everybody's having a good time to bam. I'm wearing a white shirt and I can't say ho and can't call the pimps and can't talk about smoking no more, you know. Boy, I took it hard. I did my job, but it was a hard transition for me.
I understand. It was for me as well because I mean, all of a sudden, one of my favorite characters and one of my favorite, all of my favorite lines just had to go by the wayside. I didn't like it either.
I think that character did so much just for morale in the back, and just to have the girls around all the time, and everybody was cool, and it was just, but I took it hard. I took it real hard. I almost left over it because it was eating at me. I don't know why it ate at me so much, but it was hard time for me.
Is that what you did? Was that the character or what you did until you finally did eventually? What year did you, what year did you stop working with WWE?
I finished up there in 03, so, between probably late 02 or 02 and 03, they were just, I couldn't be the Godfather. People didn't like the Godfather that I call him Godfather Light. When I try to come back and they make me an escort and this, because you can't, people wanted that raw Godfather character.
No,
you were scripted. I wasn't scripted at all, man. I was free to say and do whatever I wanted to do. It wasn't scripted at all.
Yeah, and it became, I don't know if the right word is to say stereotype, but you became, because like you said, it really was you, and that's all that you could do. I mean, that's all that the people would really accept you as. And it was, anything else that they tried to do after that, it was, like you said, Godfather Light. It just wasn't what the people wanted to see out of you.
It wasn't what the people wanted, so it ran its little course. But let me tell you something, Jerry. I had a good time like you did.
It was a lot of fun, I'll tell you. It really was.
I did it.
You said something.
People. I'm sorry.
Well, you said something earlier that you've been my hero ever since the Godfather days, and also you said something earlier, and I've often wondered how you pulled off some of this stuff. You said you worked in a topless club just about all your life, and that then I think you also said that you had to talk with your wife about something, right? How did you ever reconcile working in a topless club and being married at the same time?
You know what? I started working in topless clubs in 1983, and after a while, it's I don't know how to explain it. I work in them now, and I don't even pay attention to them girls. I know that sounds weird, but it's just a job. The wife, I've been married 3 times. This time, I've been married 20 years,
wow.
And I've been faithful those 20 years. Before those 20 years, different story. But I met a good girl 20 years ago. We're still married, and she's cool with it all. She was more about making money and trying to get that character over. What a lot of people don't know is that all I did was the silly, entertaining part. She made the outfit. We hired somebody to make the outfits. We had an airbrusher that people don't know that I never wore the same vest on TV twice.
Wow.
I'd wear it on TV, then I'd put it in the house shows. So we would have like 1 or 2 vests made a week. She had the jewelry made for me. She ordered the hats. She was so much of the Godfather. All I did was the entertaining, silly part. But all that was her, and I fought her on every part of it because I wanted to be a mean pimp, not a good pimp. I wanted to be a heel pimp. And Vince looked at me like I was crazy. He goes, "Charles, really? Seriously? You really?" Everything that I fought my wife on, man, it all worked out. And pretty soon like I said, I wore what she told me to wear, and I just kept my mouth shut and entertained the people.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. Listen, Mike, are you still there?
I am.
I mean, we got to thank you for bringing on Charles. There's this great guest, but we're totally ignoring you. Is there anything you want to talk to Mike about or ask him about?
I got one thing, Charles. As many times you and I have hung out and talked, I've never asked you about. Tell me about the Hall of Fame and them calling and how all that went.
I've probably been at the last 5, 6, 7 of like WrestleManias they have. So Mark Carrano called me, and I was going to the gun range. I remember I go to the gun range a lot, but I was on the way to the gun range, and he called me. He's like, "Charles, you all set for WrestleMania?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all set." He's like, "Well, who you bringing?" I'm like, "Who am I bringing?" I'm like, "Well, just my wife and my youngest child." He goes, "Okay, well, I think you should bring your whole family." And I'm like, "Why the hell do I want to bring my whole family, man?" He goes, "Because we're inducting you into the Hall of Fame this year." And that's how it went down, man.
Wow.
I'll tell you, and I was surprised. I told people if they ever put me in the Hall of Fame. They're going to have to make a special category for entertainer or some kind of crap. But, it was an honor. I really screwed up at the man.
What?
Dude, I don't know if you know about this, Jerry or Mike. Mike, I don't know if you know about me forgetting to mention my wife in my Hall of Fame speech.
You did mention that to me, yeah.
Wow.
Can you believe that, Jerry? See, everybody knows that Godfather's an herbal person. And Snoop Dogg was there.
Yep.
And other people were there. And I've been hanging out with them guys for a couple days.
Oh, Lord.
And my problem sometimes is I have too much fun. And I was having so much fun, and I didn't script anything. I kind of wanted to just come off the cup. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to mention these things. I kind of had an order of which I was going to talk about them, but I was just going to free flow. So there was a part where my grandson was there, and it was his birthday, and he wasn't feeling good. So I said I wanted everybody to wish him happy birthday. From that point there, I was going to mention my wife and just talk about how much she is really the Godfather and all that. And I told my wife, wait till it comes to you. I'm going to put you over like $1 million and all this stuff, right? So I go out there having fun. And the thing with my grandson, Isaiah, went so well that I blew by that part and went on to some other stuff. And the second that I was done, I went, oh, hell, did I mention my wife? And I was almost ready. I'm like, I forgot to mention my wife. I was almost ready to go back, but it was too late. Man, can you imagine how I'm still in heat?
I was going to say, has she ever forgiven you?
Huh?
Has she ever forgiven you yet?
You know what? Every podcast, every video, everything I've ever done from that point on, I mentioned that. And then last year at the Hall of Fame, or the year before that, I was on the red carpet, and I brought that up, so they let me rectify it then. So believe me, it's better now. But if she heard us talking right now about it, she'd be like, "You're such an asshole," it'd come back. So, boy, I took a lot because she had to put up with a lot, with all those girls and all the stuff that I was doing, and to put up with all that and not even be mentioned and all the things. Sometimes you got to just say no to drugs.
Yeah. What do you mean sometimes? Just sometimes, right?
Sometimes you just got to say no. Got to chillax and say no.
Another question I had that I thought about the first time that Charles and I got together, of course, I was asking him about his stops in USWA and stops in Evansville. And he had mentioned, I remember Evansville well because that's where we always got paid. And there was a liquor store or something where all the guys went after the show to cash their checks. And so this is kind of a question for you, Jerry, too. I said, well, my guess is that, if you guys are doing a loop and you're in Memphis and then Louisville and, you end up in Evansville, I'm guessing you guys got paid in Evansville to make sure you showed up, being the smallest city in the loop. Is there any reasoning behind it? Is there any logic?
You know what? I really don't remember, Charles, why, but that was just it worked that way even before Jerry and I took over the territory or the company from Nick Goulas, and it went back to actually the 60s when Nick Goulas and Roy Welch owned the territory, and Jerry Jarrett's mother, Christine Jarrett, she was like their secretary, and for some reason, I don't know, payday was just always on Wednesday, and I think that came about because also Wednesday nights used to be Evansville and Nashville. Nashville ran on Wednesday nights, and that was that was where the headquarters were, and that's where most of the guys stayed in Nashville, and I think that's why payday was on Wednesday, because the office crew could work late on Wednesday and not have to travel out of town or anything. And then once we switched over, Evansville became our regular Wednesday night town, and the tradition just stayed. I don't know why everybody got paid, but like I said, Charles, everybody got paid, and there was a little liquor store on the way back towards Kentucky or on the way out of town that everybody'd stop at and get their check cashed, right?
If you bought something, they'd cash your check.
Yeah.
And back in them days, you needed your check cashed right away.
No kidding. Absolutely. I don't know why.
Hey, I tell you what, Jerry, I had some of the best times on the road there, and some of my best road stories are the time driving those towns, man. And like you said, we stayed in Nashville, did that Nashville, Memphis, Evansville, Louisville. and doing that TV show was so. It was what was that Sunday morning TV
no,
show?
Saturday morning. Saturday morning in Memphis, the live 90-minute TV show.
And then we had to get back to Nashville for Saturday night, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we switched Nashville to run on Saturday night because Evansville was doing so good.
Too bad these young kids today don't get to go through that, man, because I have some of my best stories are those days, man.
Oh, man. Driving up and down Interstate 40, it was crazy.
Oh, my God. Taker, just a couple of days ago, Taker texted me about some incident that happened from Memphis to Nashville during the snow, man. We were just laughing about it, or texting each other laughing about it, you know.
Oh,
but yeah, some of my best stories were back then, man. I had a really good. That's one of the best times I've had in wrestling, man. It was back then.
Boy, and you talked about the crew that you guys had when you went over to Germany. Can you remember the talent that came through Memphis? Just basically all the guys that went on to become superstars in the WWE, they all either started or came through Memphis at about that time. Like you said, Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, all of these guys, came out of Memphis. Sting, the Ultimate Warrior, all those guys.
I don't think there's anybody back then that didn't come through Memphis.
Right. Yeah, it's
you've been at the start of mostly everybody's career. Very few. I mean, I can't think of nobody except the modern day guys that didn't have to. Everybody had to go through Memphis, and there was more indie people running than you were running. But if that was the spot to be, man, wrestling was hot there.
Oh.
The TV show was hot. It was a hot territory.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. And you helped us a lot, man. We had a great little run there with Soultaker, man. It was awesome.
Oh, hey, for not knowing anything and just listening, we did okay. I wish I would have known more, and it wasn't so green. We probably could have drew a little better, But I went from being anyway, I did the best I could.
You did great, man. You did great. Anything else, Mike?
I just one last thing, Charles. I'm wondering if you could share a quick story about Brian, or any thoughts.
Brian?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say this, man. And I talked to the King earlier about this, man. Good kid, good to be around. Great attitude. Just a good kid, and it's too bad that happened. But just a great kid, man. And I'm not going to get into stories, but he was a pleasure to be around. He was a friend of mine. I've known him for a long, long time, and he's missed, man. They took a really good person away from us, man, because through all the bullshit, he was a solid dude. And I'm sitting there, and I was telling the King earlier, every time I think about him, I start laughing because he was probably sillier than I was. So it was a pleasure being around him, and I was around Rikishi and that whole group so much that he'll be very well missed.
Well, I mean, during the time when Brian was there in the WWE with you guys and Rikishi and Scotty 2 Hotty and all of that sort of stuff, JR and I, we were only on the road one day a week. We just went to wherever Raw was on Monday nights, and the rest of the time I was at home. But Brian was out there with you guys, every single night, traveling to the different towns and everything. So you guys got to spend a lot more time with him than even I did, during that time. And yeah, that's all I've heard from so many people, how much fun he was to be around on the road and that sort of stuff.
I'm sitting there just thinking about him, laughing, just some of the things he would say, and a great athlete and in good shape, and just a good person to be around,
Well, I appreciate it, man. I really do. Yeah, we're all going to miss him. And listen, Mike, I want to thank you for getting a hold of Charles and getting him on here. You've been
my pleasure.
One of my, I always told everybody, I don't, when I started out doing this podcast, Charles, I told my guy Glenn here, I said, I'll do a podcast, but I'm not going to go out and beg people to come on and like call in a favor or something to have them kill their, some of the hours out of their day to be on this podcast. So I just look, Glenn just dropped his head down. He's don't say stupid podcast. But I mean, it's like, it's imposing on somebody to ask them to do this kind of stuff. It takes a lot of your time and to get nothing out of it. So I really appreciate, we haven't had many guests, but you're without a doubt one of the best we've ever had on here, Charles. And I really want to thank you for being on, man.
Well, that's kind of a compliment. There hasn't been many guests, but you're the best we had, but I'll take it.
Well,
man.
no, I mean, I'm saying that I'm saying that out of respect in the fact that I don't like to go out there and ask people to, give up some time to be on the show, but you did, and I really appreciate it.
I completely understand. I was talking to Bruce Pritchard about this. I was on tour with him in England not too long ago, and he was saying that's one of the reasons why he did his show is because they don't have guests.
Right.
And he's like, I don't want to be sitting here trying to beg people because I know how it's an inconvenience sometimes, and I know I don't like to be bothered with it. So that's why he does his show. He's like, I'm gonna do it with no guests.
Yep.
It's hard to get people on these shows every week. So, but I don't do many of them, believe it or not. But when they said I had a chance to talk with you, I'm like, oh, I'm in there for sure.
Oh my gosh. Well, listen, I really appreciate it, Charles. Best of luck. Thank you for being here. And, I'm going to come out to Las Vegas sometime this spring. And can I look you up? Where are you still working at?
Well, I'm not at Cheetahs anymore. I got rid of my interest in the place. And now I'm part of the Spearmint Rhino Company. And I'm there as a VIP host in one of the rooms there where you can come by and hang out. Actually, I'm there kind of just being the Godfather, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Now, what Spearmint Wino, what exactly is that? What is it? Is it a club or what?
It's one of the largest strip clubs in Vegas. Oh. There's one larger, but it's at this point it's the busiest club. I want to say it's off the top of my head maybe 80,000 square feet.
Holy mackerel.
There's actually 5 individual clubs inside the club. And it's called the Spearmint Rhino in Las Vegas. If people get a chance, man, look it up on the web, and you'll see what I mean. And if you're in Vegas, you got to come by and check me out, man, and have a little bit of a Godfather time.
Man, no doubt about it. We'll definitely have
And you know what, King? You're carte blanche, buddy. You don't pay for nothing.
Well, I'm definitely in then. All right, I'll be there. I'm planning a trip right now. Thank you, man.
All right, brother, man. Pleasure.
Okay,
it
thanks.
was Glenn,
Thanks,
right?
man.
Not Gary. I apologize for that.
No problem. It was an honor to have you on, man.
Cool,
Thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon,
All right, I'm
buddy.
going to get back to doing my little powwow section, man. I'll talk to everybody later. Peace, everybody.
All right, the Godfather, Soultaker, the Good Father. Well, no, not the Good Father. I can't say that.
No, he don't like that.
He didn't like that.
No.
But
Papa Shango.
Papa Shango, yeah. Well, but courtesy of Mike from Toledo, who through Patreon was able to be a fan guest host, co-host of the podcast this week. Mike, well, let us know where they can find if you want to pimp your social media out, so to speak, or what you do, or anything that people want to know about you. You can do that right now.
At social media, I'm not too active, but at the biggest firm here in Northwest Ohio, Shoemaker, Loop, and Kendrick, and look us up if you got any legal needs or trademark questions or anything like that. I'm easy to track down. But thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, and I was glad I could get Charles on here because I know, King, that you don't like to ask guests to jump on. I thought, well, I can do it. That's not him doing it. So.
And I really appreciate it. That worked out well. Yeah, I mean, I love hearing those old stories, and man, he had some great stories. It was really fun to have him on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice guy. It's a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing you in Fort Wayne. I think you just got booked there.
Yes.
That's not too far here from Toledo.
Heroes and Legends. I can't remember the date, but it's coming up sometime in the
I think it's April 20th.
Yeah, early spring, something like that.
Yeah, and doing a dinner with the King sometime. Maybe come down to Memphis and see you.
Okay, yeah, I'll invite you right now to our Super Bowl party down at Fitzgerald's Casino down in Tunica. That's February the 3rd, right? Yeah. All right. Well, Mike, thank you for being on here, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, and thanks, Glenn.
Yep, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Well, there he is, the Soultaker, the Godfather,
and Mike. Mike was here. Mike, thank you, Mike.
Here on the podcast. How was that for a surprise, King?
That was good. It really was good. I really enjoyed talking to Charles White. A lot of people might not realize what his real name is. I don't know a few guys that really use their real name the whole time.
Well, I don't know what to say because I was taught 2 rules when it comes to and you didn't teach me these 2 things. I learned on my own. 2 rules when you go into a locker room in wrestling. 1, you got to shake the hand of everybody.
That's so stupid. I just told him last night. I said, why does everybody have to shake hands? I just saw you guys 2 nights ago.
So you got to shake hands. And if you're not friends with the guy, you have to use their wrestler name. And if you are friends with them, you can use their
real name. I think those are antiquated rules. I don't think you have to go by that.
Well, King, I mean, do you have any kind of rules when it comes to wrestling locker room? Not like today, but maybe back in the day when you were the king of the promotion. Any rules?
Oh gosh.
Probably dressed alone.
Yeah, I always dress. I do like to dress alone. Back in the day when at the Mid-South Coliseum, I had my own little dressing room. And then, when you were booking the shows, it was like everybody in and out all night, asking a million questions. But no, I don't really have any set rules. No. What kind of rule could you have?
I don't know. People are weird. Like the handshake thing, and that's weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing at WWE. You go through, you got to shake hands with everybody and hug all the girls and shake hands with all the guys. And it's just, I mean, like if you just saw them yesterday and you see them the next day, hug again and shake hands. I don't get it.
You ever get in wrestler's court?
Nah.
That was a big thing back in the day, right?
Not really.
Come on.
It wasn't.
Now it's not today. I guess it's not.
It never was a big thing.
Well, a couple people got in trouble. I guess the Miz got in trouble. The Miz had to undress. You don't like talking about it.
No, I don't. I mean, it was like, it just really wasn't a big thing.
No. Okay.
It was maybe one or two times that they would do what they call wrestler's court. And then I don't know, somebody be the. It was just something silly, like the guys would be mad at somebody and say, "Oh, you're going to go to wrestler's court," and I don't know somebody would be the judge, and then somebody'd come in and plead this guy's case, and he'd plead his own case, and the judge would. It was just dumb. It was dumb.
You ever part of that?
No,
never part of that.
Never saw one.
Just let me undress in my own locker room.
Yeah,
leave me alone.
Stay away from me.
Leave me alone.
That was me.
All right, King. Well, thanks to Mike for coming on. Thanks to the Charles Wright for coming on.
Yes,
being part of the show. Though they haven't come back on again in the future. Any final words, King?
I'm just excited about tonight. See what's going to happen on Raw.
You never know.
Never know.
Make sure to tweet at us at Dinner with King.
Yes, please. And at Jerry Lawler. Follow me. I need followers.
You have 1.4 million.
I need 1.5 million.
Okay.
You know how hard it is to get the extra 100,000 followers to jump from the 0.4 to 0.5? It's hard to get 100,000 followers. New ones.
Well.
New followers.
I know we told us in the story on the podcast, but when you went to the Trump rally, you got
that was
quadruple followers each
day.
day.
I swear it's like 3,000 followers a day jumping up.
Yeah, usually you get around a couple hundred.
I don't know if it was just because some of them were good and some of them were not good. I think just I think the big thing about that was being on TMZ.
Yeah.
TMZ talking.
Well, if they follow you, they must like you.
I guess.
Because why would you follow someone you don't like? This is social media.
I follow people I don't like.
Who?
I can't tell you. I don't want them to know I don't like them.
All right. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Dinner with the King, Facebook, Dinner with the King. Also, podavenue.com/King. Make sure to check out other podcasts on the network. Randy Hales, who's live right now on Facebook as we speak. He has a podcast, Memphis Memories, with Randy Hales, podavenue.com/Hales. Also, make sure to check out Jerry Jarrett's podcast, Booking Memphis Wrestling. And
be sure to come down to the place on Beale Street, the King Jerry Lawler's Hall of Fame Bar and Grill, before and after Raw. Something may be happening. I don't know.
Something.
I can't tell you.
May be happening. If it doesn't happen, maybe you'll see me.
Yeah. Goodbye, everybody.
See you, everybody.
The preceding show is a Pod Avenue production.
Greetings, wrestling fans. This is Dave Dynasty, host of The Dave Dynasty Show, the podcast that every week brings you nearly 2 hours of pro wrestling goodness from the Midwest. We feature interviews with the legends of the past, stars of today, and the prospects of tomorrow. We have segments that feature classic wrestling audio, whole episodes devoted to the history of Midwest pro wrestling, and much, much more. Do not miss an episode of The Dave Dynasty Show. We are available on all podcast platforms, or you can access past episodes and all of our social media links by visiting davedynasty.com. Be good, be safe, and keep on growing.